everyone. I am Loren Patton, and I am the Senior Student Senate for Phelps High School. And here with me is Mackensi Lester. She is the Junior Student Senate. We have to go first because she's supposed to be at the census thing, but we're going to tell you a little bit about our grant. So our grant revolves around school safety because it's very dire when it comes to our students in the school system. As you know, we are the largest county east of the Mississippi River, and the easternmost part of Pike County is where we are located. So response time for us is very large, and it's going to take a long time for someone to reach us if something happens to our school, which is something that most people don't really want to talk about, and it makes them uncomfortable, but we are all acknowledged when it comes to the school system, the dangers that can happen to the staff and the students. So Mackensi Lester is going to tell you a little bit more.
So living in Phelps, Kentucky, it's actually a very long response time for us because to get an ambulance to us would take at least an hour. So our Student Senate project is called Protect This Hive, which we totally stole off of Under Armour.
So being the little remote town that we are, Phelps, we're going to be starting a school ID program, which means that we're going to issue a bunch of little IDs to all the students and staff members that are at Phelps High School campus, which means all the way from our vocational. I don't know if you've seen Phelps before, but we have our vocational and then our high school and then our elementary. So it's all kind of side by side, but it's very large. So we're going to be issuing IDs to every one of them, and we're going to start a freshman ID program too to our incoming freshmen, because at Phelps High School we have our 7th and 8th grade also in the high school. So it's like a little junior high upstairs, and then the incoming 8th graders that'll be freshmen, they will also get one, and it's probably going to start with them first and then continue up because we got to start with them first. It'll be kind of hard, to begin with everybody, so it'll start with them. And these IDs are going to be like the college IDs, like colleges that you get issued. So it'll have all the student information on them, and there'll be like a QR scanner, so they'll be able to scan them like how you are at Walmart or something, and be able to get all that information about that student. Because if you're walking down the hallways, let's be for real, okay, it is so scary, as staff and all that, but think about how the students feel. If you're walking down the hallways and you see these staff that has their little name tags, and you don't feel worried because you're like, oh, that's the Board of Education today, or that's this teacher, and you're like, so you feel reassured that you're safe. Well, if you see some random stranger walking down the hallway and you don't know who they are, there's no ID or nothing, you're like, kind of got that awkward, kind of weird sensation that something bad could happen because you don't know that person. And so we think that having these IDs will help a little bit more reassure the students that they're safe and be able to show everybody who they are and that it's okay. So here's a little bit more by Mackensi.
As Loren said, we plan to have these IDs for custodians, staff, or just anybody that comes into the school, because it's so important to have IDs for these people, because like she said, you never know who's going to come into a school. So using this ID printer thingy, we're going to help prevent that problem.
And we actually had an ID maker, but recently, about last year, it kind of broke down. So we're using this grant to buy a new one, thanks to KVEC, so thank you guys, because we didn't have the money before. We're Phelps, so we're kind of a poor school. We don't have a lot of people there either at the moment. But so we're using this money to get a new ID maker. And another problem that we have, which is kind of a little off topic, but it connects, I promise, is the ACT and with the freshmen. So most of you know, as a freshman, you're not going to have a permit or a license, and you have to have an identification card to take the ACT. And a lot of freshmen are kind of clueless when it comes to that stuff. They're trying to figure out what you need for it and need to know how to get it. So being able to have these IDs already will be able to reassure these freshmen that they won't need to go out and spend a bunch of money on one, trying to get that identification card and when to go and get it. Because I know when I was a freshman and I was trying to get mine, it was very complicated because our courthouse isn't open all the time, and then it was just a big bunch of confusion. But so that's another problem that it'll be able to solve, is to help our freshmen and any other students that want to take the ACT, because I mean you can take it pretty young. They'll be able to have a card already and be able to walk in with their student card and show them. But that's also another thing that we're going to do, and it's also going to help us with our signage. We'll be able to make more signs around the school, like our safety zones, and be able to show, like over the intercoms, if they're like, hey, we're in a lockdown and zone 1 is where it's at. Everybody's going to be able to know if you're in zone 1 what's going on. And so that's also another thing. It's going to help us be able to make more signage for our school, not only just the IDs. But I mean, if you ever see like a student and you don't know what's going on, you just find them randomly and you're like, can I see that card? They'll be able to scan it and see all their information, their parents, phone number, if that student's lost or something like that. So we think it's a very good opportunity that will help us when it comes to school safety and be able to be proactive about it. So anything else? All right, thank you. Any questions?